go, oh, he's going to armbar him. Watch. And they look at TV and they go, what do you mean? There's no armbar. I said, I give it 10 seconds. And 10 seconds later was an armbar. And they go, how do you know that? I go, well, you can see the setup, right? And I did that to Carlos Newton when I'm interviewing him. This is the first time I meet him, and he's a funny guy. And suddenly, while we're interviewing, he takes my back, and he wants to throw me for fun on camera. And I roll him into a knee bar right away, and I have him. And I stand up, and I tell him, I say, watch out, because Sakuraga's really good with this.
Yeah.
And then in the fight, he loses by a rolling knee bar. So that was on a Sunday. I think on a Wednesday, he was at my gym, and he stayed with us for 3 months. He came to train.
On today's show, the great former UFC champion, King of Pancrase, fight commentator, actor, the legend, the great Bas Rutten. Let's get him in here. Right now,
look at that.
We hit the applause button for you. How are you, Bas? So good to see you, man.
Yeah, been a while, buddy. Been a while. Apparently April, right? Or something, June or something. We're shooting for now to come together.
We're gonna get together, and I think I told you about this. I have a new friend, Alex. You know Alex for a long time.
Yeah.
And he put something together where he takes his business clients out, and he has a few of his fighter buddies. It's usually you and the great Chris Lytle. And now he's inviting me to hang out with you guys, and I'm so excited. That's a fun time.
It's a good time, man. We're going to eat. We're going to freaking smoke cigars. Well, whatever you want to smoke.
You're from Holland.
So, yeah, no, it's a good time. And plus, you know, at the end, we make some money as well. So it's always nice.
That's a win-win.
Yep.
Hey, Bas, I can't wait to talk about some of your fights. I want to talk about some of your fights. But before that, I usually like to start when I get guys on here about our origin story. Like when I first met you, I remember our exact first conversation. I don't think you do. No. I'm not going to say you don't remember the first one.
Yeah.
You meet a lot of people. You talk to a lot of people. I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah. I did the same thing to Roy Nelson, and I was so happy to bring it up to him. And he didn't remember. He texted me later that his wife brought up the story, and it was exactly the way I said it. I go, you should have said it on air. Make me sound like an ass. But anyway, I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna tell you when we met.
Okay.
You're gonna remember the event, because do you remember in Pride when you were commentating when Joe Hill Oliveira got lit on fire?
Yeah.
I was his opponent. So right before that, you were backstage and you were doing the fighting commentary. And Bas, I was like 25 years old. This was 25 years ago. That's kind of sad. That's kind of crazy. But I was 25 years old. I was with Henzo, and I was very quiet. That's why you probably don't remember. I kind of came out of my shell later on a little bit. But that was a crazy event right there.
No, for sure. It's probably the Saitama Super Arena, 48,000 people. Boom. And that's considered, 45,000 was considered a small show. These freaking guys, man. You
know what, though? You wouldn't even know it from being there, because you see it, you feel it, but the audiences in Japan is just a different culture with the fighting. You could have 15,000 at a UFC, and it sounds thunderous, but in Japan, you hear the clapping when they go for a submission, and you know what I mean? They very different audience.
I used to talk a lot during my fighting, and to just annoy the opponent, about complete different things with my corner the whole time. So they made a rule that I could not talk to my corner anymore. That wasn't the contract. So now when I had a fighter there, I needed to speak to him, but we were not allowed. So what I did, I just sat in the first chair of the first row. And I gave my commentating from there, because I can speak like I speak right now, because everybody's completely quiet. So he could understand I was just sitting here as a spectator and telling him what to do. And they couldn't say anything because I was in this corner. I was sitting in this chair.
It's so amazing, the different culture over there. It's so wild. I started my day today like I normally do. I get up at 5 a.m. and I set up my fort where I have like a stool where it opens up and it almost works like a squatty potty, Bas, where I can put my feet there and I put my iPad on the second thing. and I drink my couple of seltzers and my espresso, and I watch stuff on YouTube. I might be giving you TMI here, but I'm getting to the point. The point is, I watched the highlights of you in Pancrase. I watched that this morning, and I've seen fights of you before over there. But holy shit, Christian, knocking guys out. They're not allowed to. If you don't know about Pancrase, this is back in 1996. Now, Pancrase, it's very similar to MMA. It has submissions on the floor, strikes standing up, but you wear like tight shorts, and you wear either shin guards or boots back then, right?
They're shoes with shin guards. They look like boots. Yeah,
which is very, very scary because the Japanese fighters love the leg locks, and you're slippery everywhere. But if you ever did a foot lock or a heel hook with a shoe on, it's fucking brutal. I mean, no, I'm talking about goodbye ACL. So I'm telling you how it was. I was so impressed, boss, knocking guys out with open, because they're not allowed, Christian, they're not allowed to close their hands when they strike. Fist to the body, but open hand to the face. So Bas was knocking guys out with open hand palm strikes. That's not normal. Not a lot of guys do that, Bas. I mean, to your credit.
Yeah, but this was the thing. I hit, when I was training for myself, I was hitting the bag with open hands because I was a bouncer at the time. And I saw my bouncer friends, if we have like 5-6 guys fighting, it's not like you're going to start aiming for your shots. It's you just hit the head, very high chance that you break your hand. And one guy broke his hand, and then another fight, another guy broke his hand. I go, you know what? I'm going to start hitting the bag with palm strikes. And then in 93, this was in September. This was 2 months before the UFC.
Yeah.
Pancrase came out, and they said, oh, they had these open rules. I go, I'm good. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, I've been hitting the bag for 6 months like that already, so I should be good. So I was able, my hand, you can see it now, but normally I could pull it back all the way here. It was really weird. And then I could hit with the palm. And also the hooks I hit with the bone. Where is it here? With the bone. Yeah. I don't hit with the flat hand. So I hit him behind the ear. And that's the equilibrium, and then everybody's going to go. So that I figured I'd just have body shots and headshots.
Guys have a hard time. They have a hard time knocking guys out with a closed fist, and you're doing it with the palm strikes and to the body too, the liver shots. And one thing I was surprised about, especially back then, because again, this is before the term mixed martial arts was even came up with. All right, so normally. All right, you get the guy who's really nasty standing up on the floor. They're done. You had a nasty elbow up guillotine. The guillotine was nasty. I seen a knee bar. I think you might have made this one up when you just grabbed this guy Mezger's foot and turned it. It was fucking great. Yeah. Head and arm choke. I want to know about that. How were you acquainted with the ground when you were coming over from kickboxing? Because you had some stuff even back then.
The thing was this. In the beginning, I only had the guillotine, of course, because they're going to shoot for me. I knew that because I'm a striker. So the guillotine became a very good weapon. But then they realized, hey, if I jump side mount, then it's going to be hard. So it was a learning process for me. I lost by submission, then I lost the second time by submission, then I lost the third time by submission. And that pissed me off because I had nobody to train with. And I found one guy. I became very vocal everywhere. I said, hey, who wants to train with me? I found this one guy, Leon Van Dijk. He actually knocked out Evan Tanner with a front kick to the body in Pancrase. So he was an animal too. And I started training with him. And he used to pick up, and we just started watching fights and instructionals. And then I say, wait a minute, I think I can make this better, or at least I can make this fit better for my body. So we just practiced 3 times a day. And as soon as I started doing that, I never lost a fight again. After my last loss by submission, I won my next 8 fights by submission. They were like, what the heck is going on? Because I did only submissions. But when I say only submissions, Matt, that means waking up my wife in the middle of the night because I would read the submission, put her in that submission, ask where it hurts, write it down, go to the gym, Post-its everywhere with combinations and counters, and the whole house was insanity. I fell so in love with it. Suddenly I saw the potential from submission. I never knew it was endless, and I thought, my God, that completely got me. And especially with my ADD, You know, I was like, now I'm in the zone, you know, because I'm busy, I'm quiet. Everything stops from the outside. So I just fell in love with it and started doing it all day long. And I never lost a fight again.
What did you first start with over in Holland? What's the first discipline you started with? Kickboxing and how old were you?
Taekwondo. Then I started doing karate on the side. Start kickboxing 7 or 8 months in my karate time. And then free fight, it's what they called, came around in 93. And then I started doing that. I didn't even know the rules. So I went to Japan. I had no clue there was no weight classes. So I found out on the day of the fight, my guy was 33 pounds heavier. And it was 1 round of 30 minutes. And I go, okay. You know, and I go, shoot. So that was not a fun way to find out. But hey, it worked out. You know, I dropped him really fast. 43 seconds. I put him, it was scary because he was 2 days.
Did you have prior competition in kickboxing and Taekwondo first?
Yeah. I had 12 fights in kickboxing with 10 wins, 10 knockouts. So, yeah.
Now, I want to talk about how you got over to Japan, but that's the free fight you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you're kickboxing and the free fight that was brought over in Holland too, or was that over in Japan?
That was
like MMA, right? Was that
you had that organization Rings at the time, but they were doing a lot of works, right? And they wanted to become more legit. And then they start getting the real fighters like Dan Henderson and some other guys. And then they started becoming legit. There would be still some fights would be fixed, but that only to the top dog, like probably the owner of that event that had it. And then there were 2 fighters who were pro wrestlers. That was Suzuki and Funaki, who trained with Carl Gotch and all these guys, and they wanted to do a real organization like Rings or like Shuto at the time. So they started Pancras. And Funaki was a hero at the time, and so was Suzuki. So right away, we had a sold-out audience. And that's pretty much how it started. And then I got a phone call one day from Chris Dolman, and I never picked up my phone, and my voice machine was broke. But I suddenly hear the phone, and I walk to the phone, and I grab it. And I remember looking at my wife and go, why do I grab this up? And then it was Chris Dolman. He says, get in your car right now. There's 2 guys scouting for new fighters. Funaki and Suzuki, they're in Amsterdam. So I jumped in my car, went to Amsterdam, got into a brawl with one of his students because he tried to hurt me because they were filming. And I go, dude, slow down. We don't need to go hard. They just want to see technique. But he turned it up. And I go, hey, I'm okay with this, but it's not going to be one-way street, right? So now it was on. So I high kicked him, knocked him out. And he needed a bunch of stitches. And I saw Funaki and Suzuki. They were both pointing at me, saying, we'll take him. And that's how I got my job in Japan. And apparently for jumping over the top ropes, that was also an acquirement. They said, yeah, when he jumped into the ring, I would just stand in front of the ropes and then jump in the ring. I'm always been a really good high jumper. And they were completely blown away with that, apparently. And that was also one of the reasons that they wanted me as a fighter. Very weird, but I guess maybe they wanted me to do it.
Did you, now myself, I remember like taking fights, like saying, all right, I remember like, all right, I'm going to do this next fight for the same pay or whatever. Something with the UFC. I'm like, you know why? Because this shit's probably gonna be gone in a few years, and I'm gonna tell my kids I fought in a cage. I didn't expect. I always felt that the sport was gonna be gone at any second. I really did, until after the Ultimate Fighter kind of was the Trojan horse, and it kind of blew up, and here we are now. Did you think in the 90s that this sport would blow up the way it is right now?
Yeah, I remember the very first interview I had after the fight. Really weird because people started bowing to me on the street, like 1 in 15 people. I go, what's going on? And I saw a newspaper stand with a picture of me hanging in the splits, which I don't even remember doing. I remember everything of the fight, but not that. With my opponent knocked out below me. And I go, oh, okay, so this is how these people are recognizing me right now. And then I had an interview, and I said this within 4 years, so I was many years off, to 97, I said, this is going to be the biggest sport in the world. I see this as rollerball. You remember the movie Rollerball? Yeah. All evil, all violence is gone, and the only thing they have is rollerball. I said, this is the world that's going to be this. All the people going to watch this freaking sport. It's going to be gigantic. And I was about 10, 12 years off, but then it happened. And suddenly the Ultimate Fighter came, like you said.
Now there's one, your last fight, Your last fight was versus. I'm going to tell this to Christian because this is like a geek show, and he'll know the reference. Think about in the X-Men. Remember Thunderbird, the Indian guy who died, the strong guy. Yeah. He fought him in MMA. What was his name? War something?
Ruben Villarreal, Warpath.
Warpath. Come on, man. It sounds like an X-Man. Now, what was the weight difference there? You got to see. You should bring up a picture of that.
Yeah, I was 211. He was 265.
What was it?
211, I believe I was, and he was 265.
Dude, he's 211 versus 265, and he had the great Kevin. Who was in your corner?
Kevin James.
Kevin James was in your corner. I remember that.
He was 6 weeks with me, and he was really there for every fight. He was constantly for every workout.
Look at this.
So I said, man, you got to be in the corner because normally I don't listen to corners anyway. I do my own thing, and I just tell them that if I get hit, tell me to stay calm so I don't get aggressive.
Now, what's so cool about this fight? What's so cool about this fight is, you've seen right away who the more skilled martial artist was. Bas was chopping his leg, punching him in the face with punches. Bas knocks out guys with palm strikes. He was full blown punching him with a combination. But to his credit, the guy, he kept coming forward like Frankenstein. No?
Yeah, I had a phone call from Don Fry the day before, and he says, "Bas, you can't probably knock the guy out because I just fought. Don just lost to him." And John said, I couldn't knock him out. He's got a really hard head. And I said, Don, I pulled a rip, so I can't really torque right now because the last 2.5, 3 weeks, I've only been shadow boxing. I couldn't hit a bag because it would hurt too much. But I said, I will try in the beginning, see what happens. If that doesn't work, I do low kicks. If that doesn't work, I'll take him down and submit him. That was the ABSC. Yeah. And then the low kicks worked. And it was funny because when I hit him, he looks to me and he says, man, you're fast. And I go, oh, thanks. So we keep going, and then I hit him again, and it was a pretty hard punch. And he goes, "And you hit hard." I go, well, "Apparently not hard enough because you're still standing."
Isn't it? It's there's something. I felt this when I fought Chris Lytle. There's something that really sucks when a guy takes your punch. Sometimes they'll roll with it too a little, but when you're like, this one's the same one that landed on Frank Trigg that put his lights out. I'm like, I roll with it. I catch him, and he's still right there. You're like, oh.
Yeah,
it's like, oh man, I didn't expect him to still be standing.
Yeah,
and you chopped down his legs. It reminded me of
Marco,
who has versus Paul
because
Robbins.
he was outside the cage when I came out. He goes, "Hey," I go, "Hey, Marco, same as you, buddy." I got low kicks.
You knew exactly the fight I was talking about.
Yeah,
because it's very similar in the sizes. Because he was fighting another giant,
the Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah, I think he died. May he rest in peace. Yeah, but it was a very similar fight, just chopping down the leg. I love when you see all the tools put together like that. Now, you quenched your thirst for the fighting. You quenched it, right? You had to after that. You were 40-something when that fight happened, right?
Yeah, 42.
Come on, man. We're officially done. Good. We're officially done.
But I gotta say though, because I didn't fight for 7 years because of injuries, and then they called me, and the payday was really for me. It was $225 at that time. For me, the biggest money I made was in the UFC was $55,000 for a single fight, which was a lot of money considered at the time when I fought there, because $55,000 was the tournament price, and I got $55 per fight. So that was good. But so they offered $235, and I was $225, and I was drinking heavy at the time. I started drinking around 3 p.m. and I just kept drinking. And then they came with an offer, and I said, yeah, I'll take it. And my wife goes, whoa, what are you doing? I said, it's going to stop me drinking. He says, yeah, but you seriously want to fight? I go, honey, this is going to go wrong. I mean, if I don't do this, I maybe going to turn into a freaking alcoholic. So I took the fight. That's why I took it. But all the injuries started coming back, and then some. And then I went to Dan Henderson train. There I pulled a rib. I had a pulled freaking hamstring. It was... oh my God, I couldn't do a lot. I couldn't do high kicks. I could only low kicks because I had a pulled hamstring, and then I had that rip out. That was a whole nightmare. But for the rest, that was the first time I had a dietitian in my life, because I never did that. I always just ate whatever I wanted to eat. And dude, I felt so good. Like everything worked so well. It's only the injuries that really stopped it, because otherwise I would have kept on fighting, I think, because I felt really good. Yeah.
The biggest thing is as you get older, I feel is it's the getting through a camp in one piece. Like right? I mean, man, I just got checked the other day. My shoulders got bad arthritis. I'm like, oh, come on, man. That's my right arm. I need my right hand. I like to still be dangerous. Shit, right? The arthritis. What is that? It's just wear and tear, I guess. You know? That's the
we didn't choose a healthy profession, that's for sure. No. But we chose a good one. You know, the camaraderie among fighters, and it's always such a like pride, right? What a good time we had there at breakfast. A simple breakfast with everybody there at the freaking Shinjuku Tokyo Hilton Hotel.
Yeah.
You know, freaking food out, insane good.
I'll tell you, I've been to Japan 3 times, every time with Henzo, and 2 times for Pride, and 1 time when he was in rings, like you talked about.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of that, because he fought Maurice Smith over there, I watched your Maurice Smith fight too. That was great.
Yeah.
I just say that was
that knee bar.
That knee bar. Yeah, man, more than just a Dutch kickboxer, man. The submissions, I'm like, shoot, man, that was beautiful. The knee bar.
Took me down. Yeah, I remember, because they said, "Are you going to stand with him?" I said, "Sure." He says, "Yeah, but he's a striker." I go, "He fought against Peter Earth." Yeah, I said, "Peter's my buddy, my sparring partner. Don't worry about it. I got it." And then I kicked him in the head.
Yeah.
This was cool also. I kicked him in the head, and then I made a switch kick. I got excited, and I fall on the ground, and he wants to jump on top of me, and I go, "Wait," and he stops, and I get up, and I go, "Thanks, bud." Everybody starts laughing. And then when he fell on the ground, I was on top of him. I go, "Yeah, I'm not going to get up, dude."
That is so hilarious. That's so hysterical. You know what I was just thinking of in my ADD brain? I really loved your part in that documentary, The Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
That was great. If you, Christian, did you ever watch the Smashing Machine? There's a movie coming out.
He's in the movie too.
Are you now? What's going on with you in the movie? Are you going to be in that movie?
I'm playing me in the movie. We shot it off last year with Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt, Ryan Bader. He did a really good job. He plays Coleman.
Yeah.
And I play myself. And October 3rd is going to be the release date. It just came out this week.
That's so great. That's so great that you're in there. I'm great. I love. Now you don't coach all the time. You just pick when, or do you get attached to a guy, and is that when you coach him? Because I'll tell you, they showed how great a coach you were on that, and they showed a lot of other things. I like when you working with Rico Rodriguez, and they showed the sparring where he accidentally put his lights out. Christian, it was great. That was it was so raw. That was a great. I can't wait to see what the movie's going to be like.
You're gonna be amazed, man. He did a good job. Like Dwayne it was scary. There was a moment when he's talking to the Japanese press, and I just walk over, and I'm standing like it was a real scene. Everything is filmed like it was real, like it really happened.
Yeah.
And then his voice, he starts speaking like Kerr. And he had this stance, Kerr would always, with his hands on his hips, he would stand a certain way. And I was like, whoa. And then he says, yes, it's like a snake losing his skin. And I go, whoa, what's going on here? I was like, whoa, dude, he's Kerr. So Kerr's his first drama. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on him.
He does have that voice. He's the first one that came up backstage when I was with Henzo about to go out, when my opponent got lit up on fire by the pyrotechnics.
Oh shit! That was that time. We smelled it at the ring.
He smelt it. He came running over, and he has that voice. So he's like, Henzo, it's horrible. Like Henzo's some fire chief or something, So I just remember him coming over like that. I remember also, I was with you at a retreat, a seminar. Retreat in Canada. We were doing a signing at I don't know, a Wild Wings or something, and we were talking, and I remembered that. And then you had told me how your dream was to come to America and get into the movies. Am I right? Am I remembering this correctly? Yeah. And I was like, whoa! And that was like that was what you told me that your focus is on. Now, since then, was that after? After that is when. You were in stuff prior to that, I believe. But then after that is when I seen you in Kevin James's
Here Comes the Boom.
Here Comes the Boom. That was your role right there. Was that your big? How'd you feel with that? No, that wasn't your first big role, was it?
No, I did some TV work and I did some other movies in between. Kevin was writing a mixed martial arts movie. I heard about it, and then it started to come very close. And that's the first time I actually sent him an email. And I said, "Listen, I hear that you're doing something with a martial arts movie, mixed martial arts movie. I would like to have a part in it. I don't care what kind of part it is, even if it's in the background or whatever it is." And then 3 hours later, I got a script, and he says, "You're Nico." And I'm going through the script, and then I'm not into the first 20 pages, and then suddenly I'm there, and I go, "Okay, that's what." And I thought the one scene in the classroom for the citizenship, I thought that was the scene, that was the whole thing. And then suddenly I'm back, and then I'm back, and I'm back. I go, whoa! There was a supporting actor part. He goes, "I got you, buddy. I had you right away in the get-go in there." I said, "I'll be a manager. I'll be whatever you want, but it's a mixed martial arts movie." And he says, "No, you're already in. You were already in my mind when I started writing it." So
first of all, when you realized it was that big a part, now, was it like your first time fighting over in Japan? Was there any nerves going on? How did you feel about that? Were you, all right, this is what I've been waiting for? Or was it like, "Hey, Kevin, hold on now"?
No, I was good. So what happened was that the Sony studios didn't want to use me because they said he's not an actor. But Kevin saw me already work, and I did this short movie called The Kingdom of Ultimate Power. You can find it on YouTube, The Kingdom of Ultimate Power. It's a 15-minute short comedy. And that comedy, I played this over-the-top Russian Vlad Rivka, like Bas Rutten with 20 cups of coffee. Okay. And we won first prize at the New York Film Festival. Ooh. So then KJ, he grabbed that disc and he showed it to the studio. He says, "This is what he did." And they says, "Okay, we got him." And they were okay with it. And this was really cool because there was one guy still not okay with it. And my very first scene in the movie was the singing scene, that I'm on the bleachers with the girl and I sing a highway run into the midnight. I do this singing thing. And there was one guy who was still from the top, and he was not okay with me because he thought I was a fighter. And he was standing there, and I knew he wasn't okay with it. And then afterwards, I go to my wagon, and I get a knock on the door, and it's him. And he goes, "Dude, I'm here to apologize. Unbelievable, great job you did. I had no clue you were such a great actor." That was the first scene, so they gave me a good boost. That was nice.
What's the name of that again?
No, that was which one?
I want to know about the one that the 15-minute comedy one.
Oh, The Kingdom of Ultimate Power.
I'm gonna check that out.
That's my movie idea. I'm a crazy guy who has a crazy movie that people cannot make, and I'm talking to a writer, and he's insane. He's afraid of me, and he doesn't know how to write it because it makes no sense, So it's a funny movie. You should watch it.
Dude, I love good comedies. I want to know more about the Smashing Machine because I'm psyched about this thing. Only because I know I know all the players. I know you. I met Mark Coleman and all these guys, so it's exciting. Is The Rock? He's never not in shape, so this is not going to be a problem for him. He's got to be He's got to be all diesel. Mark Kerr was a specimen back in the day.
Yeah.
Pre-USADA. Sorry. But,
Oh, you're going to watch his shoulders? He's got the Kerr shoulders, dude. Oh, they really worked on that, like freaking bang. Yeah, no, he looks like Kerr. You'll see it. The first picture we made that came out was in the ring. Emily Blunt is on the side of the ring. He sits down, and then Ryan Bader and I stand in front of him. I don't know if you saw that picture. And that was Kerr sitting there with his two-size shorts that he had, the white and red. And then the little tattoos were everywhere. Yeah. And I go like, dude, it got me goosebumps. I go, he really looks like Mark Kerr. It's crazy.
Is it me, or is this going to be The Rock's first drama?
Yeah, it's the first drama. So that's why it's so important. He just left me a message how great my acting was. If he already said that. Yeah, it was really cool. But then, I wrote him, I told him back, I said, dude, for me, this picture, yeah. Look at the tattoos and look at the jacket, the pants, and
I'll tell you right now, I could guess that's him without even, that looks like Mark Kerr.
Yeah, that's what I mean, And then so for him to say that, I said, listen, man, for me, the most important, this is your first drama. All eyes are going to be on you. So I just want to deliver a good project. So you're just saying that freaking thank you for that.
Now, did they watch the documentary, The Smashing Machine?
Oh, yeah.
That's when they reached out to you?
And yes, and then Benny Safdie, the director, he's actually born on the same day as I am. He had me in his eyes right away for that movie as well. So he called me, and this guy, he did Uncut Gems with the Sandler.
Yes.
And heart-pounding movie that they thought they was going to get an Oscar nomination already in the past. So God knows what's going to happen with this. But he did, dude, they used the same cameras that Pride had. If you would walk into the room in the arena, backstage, wherever you went, restrooms, doesn't matter, everything was Japanese. The little trucks to bring the groceries in, everything, outside trucks, Japanese, inside. It was the most insane thing. And then the same cameras, the same lighting that you have at the Tokyo Dome, he brought those lightings over to us. So it looks, and then the special parts that they film when the fighter walks up, that's a different camera. He got those cameras, so it looked exactly the same. Yeah, he's something, man. That guy is very involved in what he's doing.
Now, I'm one of them. The MMA community is very snobby when it comes to MMA movies. Never Back Down. What's the other ones? Warrior is always on the fence whether people like it or not. You know. So there's the one with the Red Belt. What was it?
That's Michael.
Yeah, Red Belt was also a movie, right?
Oh boy, was that awful! I'm sorry, Randy Couture. That one made me want to run into traffic. But I'm going to tell you right now. Could this be the most respected MMA movie ever? This movie is that what I'm expecting? I don't want to, put too much pressure on you. I know you're in it, but it's sounding pretty awesome. You got The Rock in it. We know the story. I know the story of Mark Kerr. I'm not saying it's tragic. It's an interesting story for sure. Could this be the movie that is our Rocky or something?
I don't know. It's a heart-wrenching movie, man. Because the relationship between him and his wife, Dawn, it was freaking very toxic. So, and we have that a lot in the movie because that's what I believe that was the reason he was taking those freaking pain medications the whole time. He was shooting himself up at Nubain, right? That's what they saw in the movie as well. But it was so toxic. I remember Emily Blunt came to me. She says, "Hey, I want to sit down with you in a little bit." Oh, by the way, she walks up to me. She goes, "Hey, dang, dang, dang." I go, "Oh, well, that's always nice to know." And then she says, "I want to sit down with you because I need to talk. I need to get in character for Dawn." So the conversation you had with her, and I go like, I said one thing to her one time. She goes, "What?" I said, "Get the hell out of this place right now." He says, "It's the only thing I said." He goes, "Why would you do that?" I go, "Because Mark just lost and he's completely down." And she walks in, she says, "You look like a beginner. You look like a freaking loser. What were you doing out there?" And I go, "Get the fuck out of here. Who's doing this? Who does that to somebody you love?" So Emily started laughing. And then when she talked to Dawn, she came back and she said, "Hey, boss, I got some information for you." I go, "Okay." She says, "Yeah, she said, to me, she told me I was very jealous of Bas because once Mark went to Bas got all the attention. And I was young, I was stupid. And looking back on it, it was just childish. But that's why I was constantly, like, we would drive in the car and he was constantly talking to her on the phone, like hours. And I go, hang up the freaking phone, man. Stop focusing on fighting." But she was so needy at that moment. Because like she said, she was just young, but that was it. She was just jealous apparently. And that's why we never had a relationship.
It's so crazy that as a fighter, what goes on the outside, it could reflect what's going on the inside, when you're walking into that cage. I remember there was a fighter from Pride and the guy, I'm not going to blow up his spot here, but I remember he got divorced, but he married a Brazilian girl and he was going to fight. He was going to fight this guy, Arona. Arona's a beast. And she's like, "I hope he kicks your ass. I hope he this is his wife. If you get the wrong, support group near you."
Yeah, but how many students you have that had a really great chance for a career and they lost it because of their partners? A lot of them. I do. Because the girls come in, "Hey, I don't want you to train tonight." And then they freaking listen because they think, well, sex is more important, right? And I tell them before, I said, this is going to happen. And if you do it once, it happens a second time, and then it becomes 3 times a week. And suddenly you lose everything. Don't do it. Just make say it in the beginning. I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I'm going to do because that's my goal. But no, women suddenly, sex, and that takes over. And then bye-bye.
It could be a problem. They get the wrong partner. Now, Bas, with all the glory you had over the years in fighting, is there one particular moment, whether the UFC title, it could be King of Pancrase, is there one fight in particular that just when you're in your car and the music comes on that brings you right back to that one? It was just a moment of glory that stands above the rest. You
know what? It's really weird, and it happened before I started fighting. I was very bullied. I was the leper in school. I had a horrible skin disease, so everybody always picked on me. And I went for years. And at 12, I saw a Bruce Lee movie, and I realized if I would be like that guy, I could take care of the bullies. And it took me 2 years to convince my parents. I started training, and it started going really fast. Within 2 months, I was training with the adults. Another adult, a neighbor, took me under his wing. So my mom and pa said, okay, you can train with them. And I started beating up the adults. And then I overheard the adults talking about me in the dressing room. So I got a little bit more confident. And then my biggest fight against the biggest bully in my school came. And it was Shaki, was his name. And I knocked him out, one punch. Boom, out. And nobody did anything. To me, that till this day, it gets almost emotional right now just thinking about that because I knocked him out cold and I realized nose was broke though. So the police came. So they were in my mom and dad's footstep because he had to go to the hospital. So they took me off martial arts. And I always say this in their defense, they never knew I was bullied. My mom had an incredible amount of work with me. She had to mummify me every day, creams every night, would rip it up, would itch. She had to do it again for years, So I didn't tell them that I was bullied in school because they already had a lot of crap with me. So otherwise, if my dad would have known, for sure he would have said, no, we leave him on the martial arts. But that was it, because then I made a list, and now I knew I could fight. And then I started training myself. And then I started going, I have four more guys on the list, bullies that I had to have. And I knocked them all out. And the last one was literally, please, boss, I don't remember. I go, I do. Boom.
Isn't it crazy? Because I'll tell you, boss, how many of us have the same story with that? Because I was the same way. Because I was always silly, and I didn't develop until like 8th grade. But in 7th grade, when I went to junior high, I used to get fucked with big time. And then I developed, and I had a hit list, and I had similar stories. And it's funny because, they're big on bullying now, not to do it. And of course, it's horrible. And when I was going through it, you feel like the world is just dark. And it's like, could somebody step in? But it did mold me into a savage, and you also. So it is weird. It's like going through it. You want it to end. You want it to stop. But because we ended up taking care of that ourselves, we're a couple of champion Hall of Famers. I don't know. It worked out, right?
Listen, we did a show, and they had a TV show in Holland called Reunion. And they found out about me. And they go to a class, and they go to see who excelled from that class. And they found out about me, so they came to America to film me and did this whole thing. Now, it's a big show in Holland. So there's 3.2 million people watching. Now, you have to understand, at that time, 16 million people in Holland. So that's like the Super Bowl numbers. That's big, right? And none of the bullies showed up. None but came. And I go, boss, nobody showed up. I go, yeah. I said, I wanted to thank them. I really wanted to thank them because they gave me this freaking beautiful life that I'm having right now because of them. So that's exactly what you just said.
That is amazing. It is amazing. It's amazing what it does to you, And at the same time, it's funny because my father got me into, I felt like an oddball because I was never into any sports. My father got me into martial arts by watching Bruce Lee also. Bruce Lee. How many lives did that guy touch?
Everybody's life. I mean, all the guys our age, pretty much all of them. Like yesterday or 2 days ago, we had some crawfish thing with the whole neighborhood. Yeah. We were there. And I was quiet. And they go like, why are you quiet? I go, because I just got a message from Dwayne, from DJ, The Rock. And I go, how suddenly you realize how crazy life can be to go from a kid that got bullied and did. And now you get a message from Dwayne Johnson. You have to go, if you sit back, and you got the guy with 400 million followers to biggest follower in the world.
Yeah.
And then, how cool is that? And I always wanted to meet him. I had this thing with him in an interaction one day that somebody asked about me. I actually, Alex made I'll grab it.
Yeah, let me see.
Alex made this for me because I made a screenshot out of it. I said, normally I wouldn't do it, but now I did. So somebody said to me, Bas, you and The Rock in a street fight, what would you do? So my answer was, it's going to be hard for me. No fight, please. Because I love the guy. And then The Rock wrote, love you back, Bas. Also love my teeth to remain in my mouth.
That is
that was 2016, you see. So my buddy made a thing out of it. I actually sent that to DJ. I say, you remember this? He says, oh, yeah, I remember. And I do like my teeth in my mouth. He said, he's a good guy, man. I don't know how he does it. He is so busy. Yeah. But people go like, oh, can you imagine you have what he has? I said, I don't want it. I don't want what he has. Trust me. I mean, he's the guy who can handle that. I couldn't. It's too much. I mean, on the movie, he flies to Paris and he comes back and he's got filming again. And then he's got to go to Italy, promote another thing. And he comes back to the movie and working again like non-stop. It's really amazing, the crazy life that he has.
And I feel as far as myself, as far as fame, I got just the amount I like. I don't want any more. You know what I mean? I'm not The Rock. I can go places. And, I still look cool in front of my kids. I can take pictures here and there, but it's not overboard, unless they put me for UFC and they think I'm Joe Rogan or something. Shit happens like that.
Yeah. I have that, even Joe Rogan, and I have Dana White. And the one that I have the most, and I asked Randy Couture, and they asked me to sign Randy stuff, and they asked Randy to sign Bas stuff. I go, you serious? I go, a lot. They go like, hey, Randy. I go, oh, that's the other guy. I go, oh, Bas. Yeah, okay.
That's so funny. Let me ask you, because now I know you're over here. I'm sure you're taking pictures left and right, but how was it in Japan? Was it as popular or no?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, after my first fight, like 1 in 15 people, it's a lot. If you walk on the street and then suddenly somebody bowed and he goes, and I go, what was that? And then another guy suddenly bowing and you have no idea. Listen, you go to the subway there and you have 80-year-old people coming up to you who watch fighting and they want to know everything about fighting and they're so sweet and so involved. It's amazing. And you go to pro wrestling matches and other matches in Japan, like 70-year-olds are crying and laughing and crying. I mean, they're completely in it. It's an amazing country, man. I really like Japan. Also, I was talking about it yesterday or this morning with a friend of mine, like no graffiti, nobody. If somebody wants to throw this in the trash and there's no trash can, he will hold it in his hand or bring it home and throw it home in the trash. Here in America, they just drop it. They don't give a crap. You don't have that there. You don't have graffiti. You have rules, and I like it when there's simple rules and just respect. Everybody's wearing a suit. And this. Here it's like the more crazy you look, the cooler you are. I go like, where is that? I mean, if you go back 40, 50 years in New York with everybody wearing a suit, how cool was that? That was a great time. And these crazy workers all the way up in these high buildings, walking on these beams, they didn't give a crap. They were real freaking men. And now we all have these pussies, pussies, I should say, pusillanimous, no courage, lack of courage. I mean, nothing. They're afraid of everything. Everything is on the floor. Oh, you asshole. And then you see real life and they don't know what to do. Imagine having that life. It's so sad.
They should all be doing some martial arts.
That's it.
Hey,
but you can't. You know exactly how they look. That's why they don't do it.
When I was looking up stuff earlier, and I wanted to see some of the stuff with your acting, and I saw a trailer. Is there something new coming out that you just did, or is it? What did I just look at, Christian? What is that thing? It's not the Smashing Machine. Let's get that up again, because you're so busy. I don't think you. What did we just watch?
I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
There it is.
Is this an older show? Let me see. You're going to see it too. This.
Oh, that's the River Thief, I think. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's the River Thief. I'm playing a bad guy, a meth dealer here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With Paul Johansson.
When did it come out?
It's already out. It's already out. Actually, Johnny Cash's brother is in it as well. And Paul Johansson, he's in a whole bunch of movies. If you see him, you know him right away. He's in it as well. That was fun because I know him personally through a friend of mine, Holt McElhenney. And so he was in the same movie. I go, oh, good. We can have a lot of fun now together. So Yeah, we do a bunch of stuff. I did a bunch of stuff, but not for a while. I don't know. It didn't really attract me. I got some scripts that were really freaking weird that I denied. I said, I don't want to do it. And then the interest got off because I stopped 2 movies, the scripts. But like the most insane thing, like, I mean, I go into a prison to break out of the prison because the prison is this big, gigantic cell or how you call it, safe. But it's already weird, but then it becomes, right? Okay, so it starts with me in a fight against the guy, KKK Carl. That's his name. But you know what? So he throws a weight plate at me in the gym, 45-pound weight plate. I duck, and it decapitates somebody behind me.
Oh, it takes the guy's head off.
Takes the guy's head off with this stick, but it takes the guy straight his head off. Starts with that. Then there is this guard, this female guard who's called the Black Widow, and she has a guillotine built in her vagina. And then she has sex with guys, and it cuts it off. And I go, okay, so where is the penis going to go? How do you get that freaking thing out? And then I'm a locksmith, and I have to open the door. But instead of making license plates, we are making, get ready for it, dildos. And then I go to a door, I'm not kidding, and I have a little pin, and I put it in the front of a dildo, I put it in the lock, I turn it on, and the lock opens up. And then there's 15 more things like that because one, I said, okay, I can get rid of that. But then there's 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and it kept going, and I go, yeah, there's no way. This is written by a freaking 8-year-old. Because when they told me, they said, did you... So you don't want to do it? They go, no, did you read it? And he goes, no. I say, you should read it. It's written by a freaking preschooler. I don't know what it is. It makes no sense absolutely at all. Really, I mean,
I know they can't all be the Godfather, but I think it's good that you passed on that.
100%, because, you know, if I'm becoming the lead of a movie, all eyes are going to be on me. And then if my acting messes up a little bit, okay, I can get away with it, at least if the movie is a good movie, with a good story. But that was nothing.
Now, I want to really get in quick into your commentating. How did you know you were going to be okay on the mic? Because you always seemed like you had a personality, even in the ring. You seemed like there was something there. You know, you could tell you had a presence. But I remember as far back as again the 90s, in Pride and everything else like that. How did you take to the commentating?
That was I was with Kerr before the 2000 tournament where he was going to enter with Coleman. That's the Smashing Machine, that story. I'm sitting backstage with Kerr. The TV's playing in the room where you warm up, right? So you can watch the fights. And I see this guy, and there's 2 people, Yukino and Hideki. You remember those 2 from the staff? They probably got you over. They were sitting with us, and I go, oh, he's going to armbar him. Watch. And they look at TV and they go, what do you mean? There's no armbar. I said, I give it 10 seconds. And 10 seconds later was an armbar. And they go, how do you know that? I go, well, you can see the setup, right? And then it happened again. I believe it was Carlos Newton and Sakuraba. Yeah. And I said, he's got to watch out. He's going to roll into a knee bar. And I did that to Carlos Newton when I'm interviewing him. This is the first time I meet him, and he's a funny guy. And suddenly, while we're interviewing, he takes my back. And he wants to throw me for fun on camera. And I roll him into a knee bar right away. And I have him. And I stand up and I tell him, I say, watch out, because Sakuraba's really good with this. Yeah. And then in the fight, he loses by a rolling knee bar. So that was on a Sunday. I think on a Wednesday, he was at my gym and he stayed with us for 3 months. He came to train.
That is hysterical. I remember that fight too. Oh, man, some of the fights back then were amazing. Hey.
That was the thing. And then they said to me, hey, you want to be a commentator? And I go, okay, good. Listen, Matt, this is a true story. You can ask everybody. I'm going to the show. I never paid attention to commentators. I didn't know they had to wear a suit. I had no clue. So I'm there in my shorts, my flip-flops, and I get this flower shirt on. Oh, that's so. And they go like, you had your suit in the bus. I go, what suit? And they started laughing. And he said, no, your suit. They go, no, I'm serious. I said, nobody told me to bring a suit. And they go, are you serious? And I go, I never look at commentators. I have no clue. So then we had Michael Braverman. He was the early producer of the show. And he says, no, we'll fix it. We make a funny opening in these clothing, and then we're going to start. And that was the crazy openings, suddenly, because everybody loved that opening.
Yeah.
Forced because of me, because this idiot didn't bring a suit. That's why we had to do it. But then the comeback from the people, it was so good. Everybody said, my God, did you see the opening of the show? That was hilarious. So now we started doing every show. We had started with this 5-minute little acting part, so to say, and that would open the show. So you see, sometimes from mistakes, really good things come out. And this time it was a mistake for me because I didn't bring a suit.
You know, the movies, the commentating, the championships. Is it safe to say you exceeded your dreams as a young Dutch boy from Holland? I mean, look at the boss.
It's insane. You know, the crazy part is this now. Like, so I'm walking on the street and I have like 2-3 times a day somebody stops me and he says, hey, I love the content that you're putting out lately. Like constantly about the content. So last week, I'm doing a lot of content about how to fix yourself.
Yeah.
Because I've been such a crazy guy. And I had such a trouble with myself to see how I can fix myself with the drugs and alcohol and everything, you know, the getting angry, getting this and that. So I start giving these people little tips on how I stopped it. And hopefully if I can stop myself with my crazy ADD mind, then I'm pretty sure it's going to work for you as well, you know? So I said, and then now suddenly everybody started saying, hey man, I love the content. I love the content all day long. I hear it. So now I started focusing on that. So now it's going to be Thursday. I'm going to film a whole bunch of clips for fighting because they really love that as well. But I break things down, how to make the best liver shot, how to make, you know, that. Yeah. And then the other videos are going to be just help videos to see, oh, you have alcohol problem. This is how I fixed it. Or your humility problem, or you're judging, or whatever it is that you don't do well. This is how I fix it.
You said you took that fight because you wanted to. You told your wife, well, to stop me from drinking.
Yeah.
You're not fighting anymore. What, you know, and again, I know we got to end soon. I know it's going long, but what did you find? Because we're done fighting. So once you get done fighting, after so long, that's when they start hit the bottle. That's when they start looking for another high. How did you throw yourself into work with the commentating and the acting, or what?
Yeah, but work commentating, just keeping busy and just force yourself to work out. Even if you don't want to work out, you just got to keep that schedule. Like now, also, I wake up like you. I wake up early, 5:30. You know, the whole thing. First, a liter of water with electrolytes. I walk the dogs. I take a coffee. I go first hours for God. I'm sitting here in my room. This is the man cave, so to say. I spend an hour on that. Then I walk the dogs. I bring them to the park. Then I train my breathing muscles. I work out 5 minutes while they're in the park playing. Then I go home, pump in the cold plunge, start working out, go in a red light sauna, and then I eat about 2 pounds of sweet potatoes with a freaking 16, 18-ounce steak. That's my breakfast. And that's not even 8:30 in the morning now.
Yeah.
So now I did all that work already. It's because people say, food is so important as long as you eat clean food and you make your own food. Don't warm it up in the microwave. Throw the microwave away. It kills everything.
Yeah.
You know, just start watching your food, and everybody can do this. And you know as well as I do that everybody can do it, but they don't. They all want it easy. They all order it on the phone. Nobody has time anymore. They have time to go on the stupid phone.
Yeah.
Like a 17 or 18-year-old right now spends 93% of his time on the phone, on his free time. Yeah. 93%. Where are your goals? What do you want to do in life? You're going to lose everything. There's nothing you can do if you do that. You know, get rid of the stupid phone.
Hey, do you do those ice plunges or no?
Huh? Yeah, I do.
You every day?
But almost every day, yeah. But I don't go that cold, like 45 I do.
That's not bad. Dana does 50 and he does it for 3 minutes. Is that?
Yeah, I go like 4 minutes and then I warm up with working out. And after the workout I go to get rid of my muscle aches. I take the red light sauna. I'm pointing because that's the room behind me. And then I have these handles in the sauna. I just made them where I can stretch myself. So, you know, so I stretch constantly for 25, 30 minutes while I'm in the sauna, and it takes care of a lot of problems, pain problems.
That's the shit I got to get. I got my little steam shower. And what's good about being 5'6", I can do incline push-ups in there. You can't do that. You'd be hanging out in the shower. I could do it.
I got this crazy sauna. It's called the Finmark, and it's the only one in the world that is infrared, but goes to 170. It also has the coals, the hot lava stones, so you can also throw water on there. So it has both of them, and it has the red light. Normally they go only till 140, maybe 150. This one goes to 170, so it's a little hotter.
I get the sauna thing, but what does the red light do exactly?
The infrared is drilling all in your body. So all the like I have incredible muscle aches, man, after I work out. Like the next day, it's almost like I don't recoup. Like my muscles hit really fast. But if I do the sauna, the infrared, it's 80% less. It's a gigantic difference. So
I'm gonna mess with that. All right, hey, Bas, I wanna let's plug some stuff now. What are you commentating for? You're still doing the Karate Combat?
Karate Combat, you got to watch it. You know, we got May 2nd. It's in Dubai. We got another show coming. 3 title defenses, and we have Sam Alvey, who's the champion. He's fighting Tyrone Spong. Tyrone Spong from freaking Glory and K1. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, listen, just Tyrone and an Spong. YouTube that, a highlight. The guy is, he's a Dutch kickboxer. Amazing.
Savage. He's a savage.
Yeah.
Sam Alvarez, always fun. Smiling, Sam.
All the time, and he's knocking people out, man.
Yeah.
And people go like, oh, he's not that fast. I go, he still knocked him out. So this guy, he breaks his ankle, a legit break. Yeah. We saw the video while warming up. And then he comes to the fight, he just slides into nobody knows. But I go, why is he sliding into the pit? And then we saw him a little walking, but he's fighting. Yeah. He fought with a broken ankle. It was completely broken.
He is a beast.
He's a beast.
Out of all your Hollywood buddies, now you've been around Hollywood a lot. We were talking about you with The Rock. Who do you think is the toughest Hollywood actor out there? I can think of a few right now. Frank Grillo's a tough guy. I don't know if you know Frank. Which one do you think would do the best if they got in that octagon?
Tom Hardy, he's doing really good in his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right?
I love seeing him doing those tournaments. That's so
and he's winning, from what I understand. So he seems like a freak to me, like a guy who can scrap.
That's true. Tom Hardy, Jiu-Jitsu.
And I think Kevin James, like when you saw him working the focus mitts,
he gave Ray Longo.
It's not sped up. I remember there's this scene at the very end of the movie, right, where he lifts Krzysztof Szczecinski up and then he slams him down.
Yeah.
And Kevin walks in. There's about 550 extras in the room. And they're going to bring in a crane to lift up Krzysztof because it needs to be controlled for the cameras. But he knows that he's going to get a bull crap afterwards if he doesn't do this for real. So he walks to the center of the cage. He says, Krzysztof, come here. And then, hey, can I have everybody's attention? So 550 people are watching. He says, put me in an armbar. And Krzysztof puts him in an armbar. He lifts him up above his head, puts him down. Lifts him up above his head, puts him down. Lifts him up above his head. He said, you guys saw that? Yeah, okay, bring in the crane now. That's how he did it. So the guy's a freak, and he hates me saying that, but he can freaking punch. His mind-body connection is really good, like shooting, like driving cars. It's like he's got a really good eye for it. He's just trains a lot and he eats healthy, but unfortunately still overweight.
He gave Ray Longo a black eye during sparring one time, which I love because I saw Longo walking around with him. I go, Longo. He's like, it's Kev. He was like a badge of honor. He's like, yeah, it's from Kevin James. I'm like, all right, I'm glad you controlled the sparring. You got I look like Petey from Little Rascals. Hey, anything else you want to plug? Because I know you got your stuff.
Well, I'm always talking about my auto trainer, right? The long training device. I mean, every Olympian athlete is doing it, and I don't understand. The only fighter, well, there's a few fighters, I'm not going to mention who are using it, but you can tell because I don't want to give it away. Usyk, Alexander Usyk. He was fighting. He played Igor Vovchanchyn in the movie in the Smashing Machine. So I met him on the set, and I go like, hey, what do you do for your breathing? He says, and he had my competition. But he's doing inspiratory muscle training. I go, dude. He says, oh, you want me to use this? I say, no, don't worry. That's a good product. Just keep doing it. But I just want you to be aware of the fact that you can get so much. Well, if we're talking about 20% more oxygen in your lungs, that's a lot.
100%.
And if I tell you, take a deep breath, what do? Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, you're raising your shoulders. There should be zero movement here. 4 to 6 of these breaths is the same as one diaphragmatic breath. Same air. So that's a gigantic difference. But we all start breathing like this because we breathe perfectly till we're 5.5 years of age. And then we start going to school. We start sitting down. We go to the doctor, put a stethoscope here for your lungs. Your lungs are here. That's where your lungs are. They're not here. So you start thinking, hey, wait a minute. I like this girl. And if I keep breathing through my belly, she might think I'm fat. These are all reasons that we start breathing. We're the only mammal on the planet that breathes like this. So once you correct that,
stop doing that.
That's going to be much better. Now, let's break down something really fast, right? So how does your stamina increase? It increases, well, I train really hard. Yeah, but what happens in the body? Why does it increase? Well, I found that out. It's like when you train a muscle over and over again, it becomes more efficient at its job. And the word efficient already says it, uses less oxygen, therefore stamina increases. Okay, good. Metaboflex, gassing. What is that? You're hitting a bag as hard as you can, and suddenly it's like, boof, you hit, and your arms get lazy, and what's going on? Well, that's your body starts redirecting oxygenated blood. It will take it away from your arms. Why? Because I'm using them, yes, but it sends it to the number one priority in the body, which are your breathing muscles. You have 11 pounds of breathing muscles, your diaphragm and the intercostal muscles. Because if you can't breathe for 3 minutes, you die. So to prioritize it, it goes to your breathing muscles instead of your arms. But wait a minute, you just said that if I work out a muscle over and over again, it becomes more efficient at its job. So why don't I work out those 11 pounds of breathing muscles?
Yeah.
They don't have to steal blood anymore. It's literally a medical term, blood stealing. They don't have to steal that oxygenated blood anymore, so you can keep on going. And that's why every freaking Olympian athlete is using inspirator muscle training. But these fighters are so insane because we want instant gratification.
Yeah.
So they use it twice, and they say, it doesn't work. I said, you've been breathing wrong since you were 5.5.
Yeah, you got to give it time.
You give it 6 weeks, and you're going to freak out after. Look at Tony Ferguson. Look at Michael Chandler. All these guys with great shape. Watch them in the corner. This is their breathing. You see no raising whatsoever. They have the perfect breath. And that's why they are in such a crazy shape. And then when you find out that you have 360 degrees muscles circumferential around your body, you have back breathing muscles.
Yeah.
Well, who knows that? Well, this you can activate. But Joe Rogan did it. He goes like, dude, I'm feeling muscles I never felt before. You're going to be in some serious pain if you do 30 repetitions with this thing for your back breathing muscles. The next day, you get a back workout.
Where can we get that?
You get it on Amazon. It's called O2 Trainer. And then, of course, O2 Trainer to Google. It goes to o2trainer.com. That's our website. On the website, there's also a buy with Prime button, so you can have it immediately if you want to have that option. And that's it. And it's going really well because a lot of people now start. My breathing right now should be at, what did they say? It was like an 82%. When I went to a doctor, it was 133. They've never seen it. When I went to a breathing doctor the first time, they measured my chest expansion. And I know what was going on because chest expansion is how you pull the air in your body. Like everybody thinks your lungs don't do anything. Lungs have no muscle. If you can't expand your chest, you die. That's it. Now, chest expansion is done by your diaphragm. That's the biggest one. And that's the intercostal muscle. So even if your diaphragm doesn't work, your chest muscles can still open up, but you have bad breathing. Once you start attacking those muscles, those 11 pounds, like I said, and you give them strength and endurance, and then your whole body starts breathing, what happens is your chest expands, and that creates a vacuum between your body and the lungs. And that vacuum, that opens up your lungs. So this line, what I'm going to say, is really weird. Your chest doesn't expand because you put air in it. Your chest expands, and that is how you pull the air in. And once you grab that concept, you go like, why don't I work out my freaking breathing muscles? If every Olympic athlete is doing it, why don't I do it? But that's the fighter thing. I don't even give them away anymore to fighters because they don't use it.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it since 2018 every day. I might have missed maybe 70, but that's over 6 or 7 years.
I wish I did that shit when I was fighting.
Listen, me, if I go come out of a round, I go full power. This is how I work out. Every time I go, this is insane. Before it was, I was moving so fast, and now it's like complete under control. The difference is gigantic, and people, I don't understand it. Oh, I mean, 4 to 6 breaths is the same as one belly breath. Take 4. Well, that's 25% more.
All the fighters will be having. All the fighters will be having gas tanks like Marab. It'll be insane.
That's it. They probably do it. Those ones probably do it.
And the smashing machine's coming out. You said in
October 3rd.
October. Keep an eye out for Karate Combat. Hey, listen, Bas, thank you so much, man. Thank you for coming on. It took one phone call, and you came right on, and I appreciate that, man. I really do. You know, I
really like you, man. We always so fun. I loved your interaction with that guy from Diego Sanchez. When you met him for the first time, you go like, who the fuck are you?
He wasn't our type of guy, Bas. But you know, when I was in the 90s, when you were fighting in Japan, 96, I was training at Henzo's, and I was like the generation after you. So I was watching you fight, and I always respected your skills, and you know, I look up to you, man. I'm really I'm so happy for you. You're doing amazing, and you're still going, man. I can't wait to see the movie coming out.
Still going, man. I'm loving it. And Hanzo is like the best freaking guy, right? Isn't he the best freaking guy?
He's the best. I'm so honored to be his first black belt and his friend. And he helped raise me as a guy, you know, as a man. And he helped me get the friendly side out. Like, you know what I mean? I was always kind of like, and he was like, look, it's okay to be just kind, and you can still be a savage, you know. And he helped me, you know, come to terms with that.
Yeah, and then he helped you because you said the very first time you wasn't really outgoing at Pride Fighting Championships.
No.
So, and he probably helped you with that as well because he is freaking doing it.
Oh, yeah, he's the man. Boss. Yeah, he's fucking hysterical. Hey, Boss, I mean, I'm going to be seeing you soon when we get together with Alex and Chris. But thanks again, man. I appreciate it. All right. Take care, Boss. The great Bas Rutten. Hey, man. What a show. Christian, what a nice guy.
He's a great guy.
He's a legend. He's a legend in the sport, and I'm so happy he came on. I talked to my buddy Yves Edwards. He's coming on. I'm going to remind him how he should have followed me up with those strikes, and he could have got that victory. I'm going to fuck with him. I got the W. He could have won. And he'd be sitting here with you. No, he's doing great. He's doing great. I'm going to catch up with him. Gavin O'Connor.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah. And I just watched The Accountant again. I watched it all the way through, and I fucking loved it.
We got to figure out for screening, because they said if you want to go into the city to see it, we just got to find a time for you to see it. If not, we just got to.
No. Okay. I think I'm going to take my wife to go see that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to make a night out, and then we're going to go hit Plataforma, Brazilian barbecue on. I'm going to say 49th between 8th and 9th. Okay. There you go. If you're visiting New York City, hey, stay humble yet dangerous. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.